by SK, only 2 games lost by the Copenhagen Wolves. These are 2 very much informed teams here in the European LCS, but we are in game with Copenhagen Wolves taking on SK Gaming, and with a win here, SK can go top alone in the European LCS.
Well, we'll see if they can secure that first place position. Immediately out the gates, we see both of the supports have grabbed themselves that Spell Thief's Edge. So this is the 3rd time we're seeing support Kale, if memory serves correctly.
Yeah.
3rd time we're seeing it on N-rated, and he's gone for the aggressive GP10 item. Rest of Copenhagen Wolves, they've snuck themselves up into this bush, so if Freddy steps a little too far forward, there is a root from from Karma that could come down, and there's a lot of damage from everybody else, so there is some potential, but it does look like he's going to play it safe.
Let's see, sat right at the back there of that tri-bush, and we see often enough that Svenskeren likes to throw a ward down into the death bush more often than not. Currently the Copenhagen Wolves wouldn't spot that one from coming in, but if they've watched SK's early games, they'll know that that is something that they like to do. Freddy, I'd imagine, will play this completely by the book, stick around, but if the Wolves stay here, we can see that one of them already recalling. That is Youngbuck, as far as I can tell, that will be recalling back off towards base. That Renekton is going to maybe step out here and face a bit of trouble.
So this is a lane swap that I prefer for Copenhagen Wolves a little bit more. It's going to give Youngbuck a slightly easier time in that 1v2. He's not necessarily going to get bullied by Freddy's Renekton. When Freddy has played Renekton in previous weeks, he is not afraid to farm in between the towers and get behind his opponent's top lane. Right now, the rest of the Wolves, they're going for an invade. Freddy's going to spot them away, and this is 3v2, so Freddy and Sven, they can't really challenge this one. I think the Wolves are going to realize that they've been spotted, and they're going to get a successful red steal.
Yep, red steal will be done, but look at the bottom side of the map now. We see both Candy Panda and N-rated moving in. They were trying there with Shyvana to take away their own red buff at the same time to stop that one being stolen by SK Gaming. We are going to see Svenskeren coming around to help things out. Youngbuck is sticking in there as well. Youngbuck needs to be careful that he doesn't go too far on this one, but Svenskeren is going to smite it down. They exchange reds at the start.
So very good counterplay from SK, realizing that their buff was being stolen. I think it was a good call from Candy Panda and N-rated to actually go immediately into the Wolves jungle, challenge Youngbuck off the buff, and then basically stall for Svenskeren to get in range to secure it. So nothing gained, nothing lost, maybe a little bit of time for SK's duo lane, but it's almost balanced out because Youngbuck is going to miss some experience as well from being forced to recall and now walk the long way back to the lane.
So that mid lane then, Cowtard on Lulu versus Jesus on Orianna. Both players that play, or have played at least, similar roles in these games. They love to have that farm time of themselves and wait definitely until those junglers get involved to get things going. We have seen, of course, that lane swap coming in. There's a ward over the top. Freddy's going to spot Amazing coming in. He has landed the Q. He's got double buffs on here. Freddy needs to be real careful. Couple of turret hits tank, but the minions are coming in. Freddy has to make a decision. Flash now will go down. In the end, he saves his flash. First blood goes to Amazing.
I don't know why you give him Lee Sin. A level 3 gank comes in at 3 minutes 10. That's a little bit sooner than even we're used to seeing at this point in the game. And Freddy just gets dropped down. He didn't use a single one of his summoner spells. He's going to lose his tower at 3.5 minutes on the clock. And luckily for him, he may not lose all of the CS. He should be able to get to the top lane. But that is a massive advantage for Copenhagen Wolves. SK are trying to reply in the bottom lane.
They replied in the bottom lane, but one thing that differs there is that Youngbuck didn't risk going down and sitting underneath that turret to be stunned up and by the spider, to be slowed down by Kale and locked up there for the kill. We will see SK Gaming taking a tower trade here, but the Copenhagen Wolves aren't stopping. They continue the pressure. Freddy's still level 2. Freddy has to back away from this one. There's the leash coming in. Flash goes in as well, but the Q doesn't land. This may well be turret number 2, though.
I think it's going to be. When you've got a Jinx on your side with that minigun and attack speed from her Q, she's going to melt through these towers. Take a look at Jinx just continually smashing away. It's going to be the second time for Copenhagen Wolves. This is not the first time we've seen a game like this in the LCS. It has happened over in North America, and if memory serves, it was TSM versus CLG. They traded inner turrets. They crippled their opponent's top laners, and what it did is it actually stalls out the next 10-15 minutes of the game, because once these lanes reset and the teams fall back a little bit, it's so difficult and so risky to push into your opponent's jungle. But the Wolves, they're not stopping. They're still pushing on the inhibitor on top.
Oh, Amazing coming down here. Jesus in all kinds of trouble, but he will flash away back towards his turret safety. We are going to see Candy Panda continuing to push on the bottom side, but Kale and Elise have gone back. Candy Panda is now left alone on that side. They do have wards. They know Amazing's position, so they're feeling okay with that one. On the top side of the map, we did see the Copenhagen Wolves back away as well. So 5 minutes in, I tell you what, we've seen slower games. It's 2-2 in turret kills already.
Yeah, advantage to SK though. They've got better position on the Dragon. You need to remember that Amazing has got great kill or Dragon steal potential with this Lee Sin. We need to see if he goes in with a Sonic Wave. Copenhagen Wolves have got vision. SK pulling the Dragon away.
Pulling the Dragon away, but the Dragon doesn't want to come too far out. There's the Q landing. Here comes Amazing, but the Dragon is taken by SK, and Amazing is going to fall. Jesus gets that kill back. It puts SK in the leading gold and ties us at kills.
So because of the position that SK were on the bottom of the map, not moving their AD carry top, it allowed them to have more members on the Dragon pit, which made that Dragon not only safer, but almost guaranteed for the SK Gaming squad. Amazing needed to try and steal that one. It didn't work out. He gave up his life as well. So net gain or net advantage is sitting with SK. The kill also went onto Oriana, which is a slightly more impactful person. But now Jesus is going to get caught out.
Jesus is going to get caught out, and he's got no flash to burn here. There is the lockup. Jesus going down here. There's the finisher. Took him a little bit of a while. Unlimited's like, you've got this one. Oh, do you? I'm going back in. In the end, Countdown does have the damage, though. That puts the Wolves back in the leading kills.
Yeah, so Command Protect just gave him a little bit of additional armor and, you know, HP to burn through, so a couple extra auto attacks were required from Coutard and Unlimited, but Unlimited was roaming. He was in the mid lane. Jesus was not necessarily expecting it because most games at 6 minutes don't have 4 towers and a Dragon and 3 kills down, so Jez is just getting a little caught up by that very mobile Karma support. And Copenhagen Wolves now setting their sights on Candy Panda. You can see Amazing Buzz bump into N-rated, but luckily he's going to back away, so nothing comes of that.
While we're on the topic of AD carries, surprise, surprise, Forgiven is farming up a Storm already. 30 CS, he is ahead of Candy Panda, something that he's done over and over and over again in the European LCS so far, and that's part of what's made the Copenhagen Wolves so strong. Candy Panda down to half HP. The poke from the Wolves duo is just so strong.
Yeah, the Mega Death Rocket is going to be available for Forgiven right now. So if Candy Panda sticks around, that Super Mega Rocket is going to be able to poke him down. And because Unlimited has got such strong base damages on that Karma, Candy Panda's got to be so careful in his positioning.
Yeah, and I was just about to say that could be countered by the intervention, but N-rated and Candy Panda are only level 4 right now. They don't have that available to them. They need to be very careful about this one or think about dropping back, as another zap is going to land. Will they push through from this one? There's no jungle interference coming in the immediate time. Svenskron, we can see there, is moving on to the Wolves' red buff, which he may just well get.
If Forgiven and Unlimited don't back away, there is also the potential of a gank. There is some decent vision here from Svenskron. I'm almost wondering if he's going to try to grab the buff and then roam straight for the gank. And touching on the CS advantage that Forgiven has given himself, that basically stems from the fact they killed Freddy in the top lane. So it allowed Karma and Lee Sin to bash on the tower, and Forgiven could stop auto-attacking the tower to grab CS. Now we'll see how the 3-on-2 plays out. That's a flash from Forgiven.
That was a flash into the wall from Forgiven. He's going to use a barrier, but he's going down. Unlimited might not be looking up to escape that one either. He does have a bit of mana left to speed himself up. Where's the cocoon from Svenskron? That should be coming up out here shortly, but there's a lot of damage. Auto attacks coming in to pilt over Peacemaker in the end from Candy Panda that picks them up another kill.
So flashes from Candy Panda and N-rated, but they grab themselves 2 kills. One of them lands on Svenskron, and one of them lands with Candy Panda. That was a pretty good play. I think Forgiven and Unlimited needed to be more aware of the fact they had no towers in the bottom lane. They had no vision in their own jungle. If you go for this very early map play, you need to counter the objectives lost, the turrets lost, with your own vision. And it was simply too early in the game for all of those wards to be placed and littered across their jungle. So Svenskron, with very good awareness and presence, gets the buff, grabs his team 2 kills, and buys Candy Panda some time to close that CS lead.
We talked about how much of a bully and a pain that Lulu can be in the mid lane. Oriana being able to keep him at arm's length this time around. Yes, did die earlier on, but also has a kill of his own, and he's just a little bit behind there in CS. So Jesus doing a good job of this one. We'll see how it continues now that Coutard working his way up to that Athene's Unholy Grail. Actually slightly behind there in terms of the build if you compare it over to Jesus, who's already got that Fiendish Codex in there, and it's two champions keeping themselves as far away as possible from each other, trying to do damage at the same time. But SK, they're grouping up in mid.
Oh, here comes Kauton in the mid lane. Jesus, he's going to go Shockwave.
Shockwave coming in, acing the hole will follow as well. Kauton forced to use the wild growth on himself. Big wave of minions coming in from this one. Let's see if SK can siege it down.
Now, there's no Shockwave if a fight were to break out. So believe it or not, Copenhagen Wolves, if they're good poke, could be in a strong position. The Mega Death Rocket comes down, mostly to force SK away. And because there's no threat of the Shockwave, Copenhagen Wolves can just sit under their turrets and force SK to either stay and be in a disadvantageous fight, or in that situation, as you've seen, they backed away.
Lots of pings going down as well. Svenskeren gets a good ward in there, getting 5 junctions, if you like, of that jungle with one single wall to see if Amazing will be coming around, and actually will be waiting there inside of the brush. There's a possibility of a 2-man dive on towards Shyvana, but Youngbuck does have himself a chain vest, got the boots in there as well, maybe even more crucially, and he's level 7, so he can use that Dragon's Descent to just back away if needs be.
So it's very difficult to dive a Shyvana because of that Dragon's Descent, the mobility as well as the additional defensive stats that it gives you. So I think wise play there by Svenskeren to back away. Freddy has now got a situation where he can try to force Youngbuck down, but if you look, he's got no towers to fall back to. So if Freddy doesn't have good vision in the river, there's the potential of Amazing going up there to gank. Right now though, Amazing is set his sights in this bottom lane. Candypan is well aware of it. There's a river, there's a ward in the river, so Amazing was standing on it, and as you see, nothing comes of it. And it's this really interesting dynamic where both of these teams have got such vast areas of non-protection. The team that can take advantage of their opponent's open base the soonest is the one that can grab these next dragons, etc. Amazing has caught Svenskeren, and here comes Kauton.
In no man's land, but he gets kicked over the wall, but there's a follow-up. Where's he going to go? Repel, quickly brought down, gets the command protect as well. Super Mega Death Rocket goes flying by. Flash from Svenskeren. Unlimited will miss his shots, but is he going to get the stun off? No, not quite. There's a shockwave as well. 3-man shockwave from Jesus. They don't have the manpower to follow up, and Svenskeren still so very low. Dodges the Q, the zap doesn't land, the spider lives.
So that was a very good shockwave, a lot of damage on the side of the Copenhagen Wolves, and that's without any major items being completed yet. That is exactly what Jesus needs to do. He needs to find situations where he can hit multiple targets. Now Svenskeren was a little bit lucky to get away from that one. If that Dragon's Rage kick had sent him towards Lulu instead of over the wall, he would have been hit by a Glitter Lance, he would have been turned into a Munchkin, and he would have been killed. So Svenskeren needs to be a little bit more wary of his positioning. Also, if you look at his build, he's foregone any tanky items yet. He still hasn't finished that Spirit of the Ancient Golem. He's got straight for a Haunting Guise. Svenkeren's wants kill power early on, and because of the play in the jungle and forcing Copenhagen Wolves back, SK are going to grab their second dragon of the game.
Yep, dragon and clock, or maybe even 1.5 minutes past at this point, but they get the dragon. That's the crucial thing. SK now 2 out of 2. It leaves them 1,100 gold in the lead, and they're closing the net around this mid lane as well. Svenskeren, we saw there, walking inside towards the side brush, was pinged out though. He stood on top of a, actually don't think he was on top of a wall there, actually. That was just a feeling from the Copenhagen Wolves. Either way, they're losing this turret.
Yeah, so SK are going to grab their third tower of the game, this time opening up even more entrances into the Copenhagen Wolves' red buff side of the jungle. I think what SK needs to do, though, is try to find a way to shut Forgiven down. Because at this point in the game, I think Jinx arguably has the most damage of any late game carry, maybe barring Vayne, for example. And right now, Forgiven has got a 40 CS lead over Candy Panther. He's got a Bloodthirster that's getting close to being fully stacked. And if Forgiven is given all of this free time to continue farming, he will be able to melt Renekton, Elise, and Orianna. So this is a big priority and a big threat for SK that they need to try and find a way to deal with.
Melting champions is one thing, but we've seen how quickly Jinx can take down turrets as well with that minigun coming out. Gambit, I think, no better than quite a few teams after that game against the Bullets. Either way, we are going to be seeing here Copenhagen Wolves making sure that that top tower remains safe. Kauton in the mid lane is just ahead in farm, but that lane, in terms of the farms and the kills, has been very much even throughout. They are pretty much in the same position when it comes to build as well. We do see the Sorcerer Shoes coming out already for Jesus, but both have got that Fiend's Unholy Grail.
Yeah, you see the number crunching on the pregame show today. Jet was running through the help picks plus 2 Glitter Lancers, which a Lulu with blue buff and a Fiend's Unholy Grail can get down, and it works out close to 1,000 damage before resistances, so that is hitting very, very high when you consider Jesus only has 1,220 HP at max. So we're going to see how Kauton plays this one out. Jesus has been using that ball command attack to zone out Counter. So because Counter has to walk over the command attack ball, it means he can't get in range to help picks and Glittle on. So Orion a pretty defensive pick, but they're going even, so it just means who's going to have the bigger impact in team fights.
Buff here for Amazing. Actually, Svenskeren has done a good job of keeping the pressure up on that side of the map and actually led to kills the last time that one did come in. And Forgiven's always got to be very careful about it. They've been caught out once in this bottom lane after that happened, and look what they've done to stop that happening. They've got a big line of wards throughout their entire jungle here to stop Svenskeren once again getting around the back and causing problems for this duo lane.
And the Copenhagen Wolves need to keep doing that. They cannot afford to get caught out. They cannot afford to not have vision of their side of the jungle or run the risk of being ganked. One of the things that we talked about when those towers were being traded in the opening 6 minutes is how, because of the risk of pushing into your opponent's jungle, it actually slows down this little bit of the mid-game, because you'll notice now how Renekton is still fighting Shyvana left on his island in the top lane. Candy Panda and Rated are trying to do battle with Forgiven and Unlimited. They back away once, and this tower just gets melted, thanks to the damage that Jinx already has.
SK looking for the counter. Actually, counter going to go in on towards Jesus. There's a shockwave. Wild Growth going to have to be used. Will Jesus chase in for this one? He will do more. He'll flash in for it. There's the Glitter Lance to slow him down. And there we see the fight between these two. We do have Youngbuck coming in. There is Command Protect going to come out. Oh! Nice move back there from Jesus. Speeds himself up. Amazing's going to join the chase. Jesus has got some godlike moves to pull out to escape. No! The Wolves have backed away. They didn't have any vision of the top side of their own jungle. They didn't know if Elise and Renekton were coming.
Field goal as Youngbuck just runs wide of the mark, does not manage to connect with Jesus. So Jesus just backsteps that Dragon's Descent. Even though he was hit by the Ignite, Command Protect was able to help him stay alive. Now we do see Svenskeren's coming from the side, instantly booted away. Amazing did not want that fight.
Kicking the Spider straight back out of things. Freddy in this top lane, 20 CS there or thereabouts he has in the lead over his opposite. And we see the workings of that Sunfire Cape. Got himself the Spectre's Cowl as well. So Freddy feeling himself in a comfortable position at this stage, knowing that Youngbuck is going to be getting stronger and stronger as Count out here, getting caught out by Sven, but he knows this is a dangerous champion to go head-to-head against. Countard offers a bit of damage back, and Rated had already started to come up though.
Yeah, Svenskeren had the support of both Jesus and Enrated. They were pretty close by in that lane. So if Countard had taken the bait and if Countard had gone in for the kill, I think the intervention was going to be within range. You see that Enrated actually had his flash available as well. So trying to make something happen, but Countard played that one safe enough. Didn't take the bait. So SK have actually got themselves a small gold lead thanks to those dragons. That's the thing you need to remember. Dragon is going to be up in another minute's time. Copenhagen Wolves have very good vision of their jungle, so they may want to challenge, and that's Youngbuck going in on Freddy.
Yeah, that is more than a challenge here. Youngbuck goes in, forces the Dominus to be popped, so they don't really want to fight. I just thought we'd have a bit of a dragon versus crocodile matchup in this top lane and then end up backing away from each other. In fact, Freddy just recalling there in the mid portion of his brush. That's exactly what Youngbuck's going to do. So it was a case of throwing down the ultimate's mine. Meanwhile, Amazing is going to kick Jesus back. Have they got the damage this time? We have seen the Wild Growth duty of Jesus going very, very low. There is a kill for Counter. Super Mega Death Torque came in as well from the bottom lane. Svenskeren now in trouble. Good repel away from Amazing. He's coming back in behind the turret. They need to push the minions up. They decide against it. 1-0.
Very good play from Amazing. What we've seen him doing that Jankos did not in the previous game is the instant flash kick. Amazing did not hesitate. Now Unlimited is going to take at least a couple auto attacks, but that's not too much damage. The shield was able to block it, and here comes Youngbuck.
They're turning things around here. The leash doesn't proc, and they don't get the stun, but Youngbuck dives to the front. Svenskeren, you've gone too close. Last second intervention. The repel will bring him back down, and there is the heal coming in as well. He does die nonetheless. Youngbuck did go low. Right now it's a 2-for-1 in favor of the Copenhagen Wolves, up Freddy and Candy Panda, maybe even more crucially, still alive from this one. Candy Panda got no mana, but look how low the Wolves are. They can't do it. He's got an ace in the hole, but he's got no mana to throw it down.
Now we've seen Candy Panda dancing on the edge of the danger zone. Copenhagen Wolves were trying to get to the front line. They needed to kill Svenskeren and Enrated in order to get to Candy Panda. And because they couldn't touch him, it actually meant that SK comes out in the lead in that fight. They lost more members, but it's going to allow them to grab the third dragon of the game and hold onto this gold lead. Copenhagen Wolves had no way of diving through all of that sort of CC and front line of SK to get to Candy Panda, and he just sat there free damaging the Wolves.
5-4 in kills, 4-3 still in turrets to SK, but let's have another look at that. What was a very prolonged fight again.
So the thing you want to keep your eyes on right now is Candy Panda's positioning. He's just out around the corner, so in order for the Wolves to get to him, they need to get past Freddy, Svenskeren, and Enrated. Enrated manages to save Svenskeren for a few seconds thanks to intervention, and then with his heal and the Mikhail's Crucible, it actually gave him a massive chunk of HP. Both of us were like, whoa, where did that HP come from? Now, because of Candy Panda's positioning around the corner and the fact that the Wolves, their initiation had already been used. You know, Lee Sin had jumped in, he didn't have a kick. Shyvana didn't have a Dragon's Descent to dive to the back line. It just allowed SK, because of their superior positioning, to win that fight.
Incredible stuff here. Only the 1 kill separating these two teams, and that Dragon, of course, taken after it as well. But the question is now, what is the next move for both these teams? You were right in what you said earlier, that the inner turrets going down so early in this game makes both teams a little bit more wary, but also makes warding so much more important in this encounter.
I think that's the key to this. Because of the vision control, the moments, you know, in the opening minutes where the Wolves did not have their jungle warded, it allowed Svenskeren to get in behind and grab kills. We do see those 2 pink wards that the Copenhagen Wolves put down 5 minutes ago or so. They have basically protected themselves from that invade of SK Gaming. Now, SK have once again been looking for opportunities. They've had much better Dragon control. The Wolves have never been there to contest or challenge. And the one fight they did, it was maybe a little early and they couldn't actually push SK away. So, as it stands, Copenhagen Wolves need to find a way to get back in control of the Dragons.
Both teams facing off here in that mid lane. Aside from the top laners who are, well, in the top lane doing their thing, there was some slow coming down, but actually turned around there. And as SK starts to move in, they then have to back away. And this is very much a trade between two teams who aren't quite sure what the other's got to offer in terms of damage until it lands.
Yeah, at this point in time, neither team can run the risk of taking the burst of their opponents. If you eat a full Lulu combo plus Karma, then Forgiven's just going to assassinate you with the Super Mega Death Drop. Jez is in a little bit of trouble here. You see one Glitzer Lance, as well as that Zap from Jinx, is melting him. So, got to be very, very careful.
Candypunner again hit by the Zap as he comes forward, but SK are actually rotating around here through the Wolves' jungle, clearing out the walls as they go. Youngbuck starts to back away. There's a wave coming, but will actually be a little bit slow to get there. We'll see if the Wolves can hold on to this one. I think SK may have got the jump on them here. Freddy could tank it up for a hit or two. And actually, no, I'm wrong on this one. There's the ace in the hole on towards Kautar. That basically forces him to back off or use the wild growth on himself. We see Q landing from Lee Sin. Poke back from Karma as well. Not much damage left on this tower. Candy Panda's going to tank it. There's the 5th turret of the game for SK.
So SK Gaming have actually played the tower and the map game better than the Copenhagen Wolves. It was the Wolves' lane swap into the top lane that gave them the early advantage, gave them some early towers, but because Forgiven was sitting and farming up that bottom lane, not rotating, not pushing mid, not trying to rush down the bottom super early, it has allowed SK Gaming to have the better vision and to roam around the map. We talked about how important it is for this Renekton v Shyvana matchup, for Renekton to bully Shyvana a little bit. Freddy was able to set that inner tower up. He got the mid tower a few minutes ago, forced Youngbuck away, and then called for the rest of the team to roam through the jungle to top lane. Worked in their favor.
We look down the gold totals there, really not a lot separating them, and you see the massive CS that we have, a 40 advantage for Forgiven. Actually, he's still behind you because of that global gold that SK Gaming have. He's 202 in their Candy Panda as well, and leads to less than 1,000 gold, which, you know, it's still a gold difference nonetheless, but it shows just how close this one, and one fight that goes well or wrong for either team is going to swing it.
So this is the most difficult part, I think, for SK's composition to overcome, is the inhibitor turrets. Because there's some decent wave clear with the splash damage of the rockets from Jinx, from Lulu, as well as from Karma, who she can mantra a Q and then, you know, get all the minions together. I feel like SK needs to have some picks before they can go under the turret of the Wolves. In addition to the fact that the Copenhagen Wolves have got slightly superior poke, the Zap coming out, the Karma poke, Lee Sin, plus Lulu, etc., means if anyone from SK goes a little bit low, the Wolves can just speed up their team thanks to Karma and dive SK. So SK need to be very, very careful of how they dance around these next line of turrets.
Speaking of dancing, Baron are we going to see both teams posturing around this one? It's something that the Copenhagen Wolves seem to spend a lot of time on, a very cautious as Kowtow takes a big hit there. Candy Panda getting up in his face as well. The Piltover even lands onto him, and Kowtow wondering where all that damage came from. It was a lot of Orianna, but that forced him away, and that opens up a turret here possibly for SK.
This is exactly what we talked about. In order for SK to get onto the tower, then you get a pick. Even though Kowtow was not killed, he took so much damage from the fully stacked Bloodthirster Last Whisper of Candy Panda that he needed to back away. Kowtow has got no additional armor. He's got some MR from that Athene's and Holy Grail, but he's not going to be surviving all of that damage from Candy Panda. So that's where SK will be looking for the openings. But you see, Kowtow is alive, he gets back in lane, and instantly SK need to back away. Amazing's got in.
He's gone very, very deep here though, and that's going to cost him possibly. Youngbuck going to be diving towards the front as well, and again, a shockwave comes down by Jesus. Can they finish off? Flash away from Kowtow. A wild growth goes on towards Youngbuck as well. Will SK continue to push her on this one, knowing that they have 3 men from the Wolves down low? They keep the poke up from the sides. They've got no minions here, which is what SK need to push through onto this turret. Finally, the wave comes in.
Yeah, there was no one else from the Copenhagen Wolves. They're diving with Amazing. He went a little bit too deep. So because of all the damage, SK grabbed themselves a tower, and I think the Wolves need to be on the same page. Yes, Amazing had the potential for a great engage, but nobody else was with him. Nobody else was following him in. He really needs Youngbuck on Shyvana to be there behind him and have a wild growth disrupting SK. Now, SK with the Dragon up, they get one of those pink wards down. They've got pretty good position, but Jesus is not with them. So I don't think they can actually contest this Drake without Jesus being there.
And I think the Wolves know that just as well as we. And they push straight in there and have now that good positional advantage over it. Will SK come down and try and poke something back? No, they are just going to leave that one completely. Meanwhile, let's look at the top lane because Jesus continues to push here. We see the recalls coming in from from the Copenhagen Wolves, but Jesus has done his fair share of damage onto that tower. He'll speed himself up, but what will the Wolves do now in reply? That middle outer turret looking like the target.
Yeah, I think SK may be able to defend this one in time. You can see all of the members getting there as Copenhagen Wolves decided to back away. So that's the first Dragon of the game that has gone to the Copenhagen Wolves. And SK, I think, maybe not necessarily expecting that push. The Wolves made a good play. They're still within touching distance as far as the gold is concerned, but they have lost all of their turrets with the exception of those inhibitor turrets. And I think right now is where Copenhagen Wolves need to get much better vision. They've had some pretty good wards on their red side of the jungle, but they need to make sure they maintain it. We see 3 sweepers on the side of SK Gaming, so most likely SK will be invading, sweeping those wards, and once they've got vision control, forcing the Wolves out of their base to look for kills.
Return to the lanes here on most sides of the map. Youngbuck going into the top lane. Jinx just pushing out that mid lane, and I have to give credit over to Candy Panda, who, as I mentioned before, ahead in goal despite being for most of the game about 40 CS behind. That's actually pulled back quite significantly here. It's harder to really judge their later game, I guess we can call it CS, because of the way that these two teams have literally set up a tug of war in that middle lane, and the AD carry is being given a fair share of that one. But the Baron dance, it's going to come down to that now. We saw 3 pink wards being put in there. They've been somewhat cleared out. There's green wards on the top side of it. These sweepers all across both teams now.
So because the SK Gaming has got much better map control, double the number of towers down for the Wolves, as well as the fact that they have forced the Wolves into a position where the Wolves have to ward up the Baron pit, which means they need to overextend. They have no turrets to fall back to safety. Amazing's got in!
He's got the kick on towards Enrated as well, holding off the intervention for now. Youngbuck's right in the middle of them there, and he won't be engaged upon. He will simply walk away from this one. We've got Candy Panda off to the side here. They don't get the damage they were looking for. Repel from Svenskeren, looking to catch someone out, but he needs to be careful now. The Wolves starting to push back a little, but SK won this war of the tug-of-war between those minions once again. Pushed a little bit further into the Wolves side of the map. SK just going to retreat with that, knowing they've got positional advantage over Baron. Clear out, place their own wards once again.
Another engage from Amazing that seems to be him on a slightly different page to the rest of his team. Yes, this time around, we did have Youngbuck close by, we did have Kowtow close by, but Forgiven didn't get any auto attacks down onto Enrated scale. It wasn't their, real kill potential. Now SK, they do not have Candy Panda with them. He's sitting at the Wolf camp right now, while the rest of the Wolves are actually at Baron. I think in order for SK to play the Baron bait and do the Baron dance, they need to use their sweepers, get rid of the Wolves' vision, and once again, pull them towards them.
This is real dangerous for SK Gaming. They've shown Candy Panda now down on that bottom side of the map. The question is, are the Wolves feeling confident enough to actually push up towards the Baron and draw SK into a 5 versus 4? It's going to be too late even if they do it now. Candy Panda's already on his way up.
In some ways, it's almost smart because the Copenhagen Wolves team will take a pretty long time to get through Baron. They don't have champions that are super, super great at just shredding it. Yes, Jinx has a lot of damage, but no additional attack speed outside of her minigun. Now, Youngbuck has been caught by Freddy. Here comes Sven as well.
That's good moving in. There is a Dragon's Descent. Actually, the Cocoon aimed for Youngbuck, ended up landing on towards Kauton. We did see the Wild Growth coming in, the Super Mega Death Rocket as well. Kevin is going to go down. Kevin's not in the game. Freddy goes down. Sven's going down to half HP as well. And there is Amazing charging over. He's got the slow. It means a point-blank Q surely here for him. Not quite point-blank. He landed it anyway. Seeing the KO coming in, the Wolves back off.
Yeah, so they don't go for anything further, but knowing that Freddy is down, that is a big portion of the SK frontline that is not available to them. So Copenhagen Wolves have now started off the Baron. Ace in the hole gets blocked out by Amazing. The rest of SK are looking to challenge. Remember, they do have intervention, which makes it like much better for them. There's the fight.
A lot of damage. Kauton going low, but there is the flash in from Youngbuck. He's trying to get down Candy Panda at the back, but he realizes, guys, I'm alone here. The shockwave lands onto Amazing. That's not enough men. Repel comes over the side. Unlimited goes low, but crucially doesn't go down. All 10 members still alive.
Very importantly, Baron has been stopped. Look at that damage on Forgiven. Jesus gets an attack and dissonance melting through the HP, but the Wolves did not get Baron. They were peeling away to try and fight SK. They couldn't stick to a target long enough. And even though Youngbuck actually dove into 4 members of SK and survived, he wasn't able to put much kill pressure on Candy Panda. Youngbuck needs to get a Blade of the Ruined King or similar before he can really challenge the back line. And now, because of all of that damage, SK should be able to pick this one up. I think Youngbuck's going to be there a little bit late, and he's low on HP as well.
Yeah, no way for them to get back there in time. And SK Gaming, despite coming in to challenge Copenhagen Wolves' Baron attempt, managed to force them away, push them away far enough that they can do that on their own. 2 sweeping lenses used to cover out the entirety of the wards that the Wolves had there. Great pickup for SK Gaming.
And something that's very important to note is that both of these teams have got so much utility in their champions and movement and survivability. So in that team fight, you've seen Sven Skaren diving in and amongst the thicker things, using Repel to block so much damage. You've seen the Dissonance move speed and move debuff onto the side of Copenhagen Wolves, allowing SK to back away. Candy Panda used his flash and his 90 caliber net perfectly to stay out of the central damage focus for the Wolves. So as it stands, SK, even though they've got a few mistakes here and there, they're playing the map better. They've got more dragons, they've got a Baron, they've got more towers. They're just playing a little bit more objective focus, whereas I feel the Wolves are trying to find kills and not making it work.
One thing that the Wolves do very well, though, when behind, which is in the last few games not been all that often, is that they are very, very patient. As Sven's gonna step out, this could actually be quite fatal for the rest of SK coming around, though. Unlimited is gonna be chased onto, but no, they want Youngbuck. Wild Growth comes in as well. SK continue to chase. They've got the Baron on them, but they can't lock down the big tanky Shyvana. Svenskeren comes around again. They land the Cocoon on towards Unlimited. He won't escape this one. The Chompers were down, but that won't do anything to help him out. Meanwhile, Candy Panda waiting on the top side. He's got full vision. He goes in on towards Forgiven. Who's going to win the duel? The Shockwave will win the duel. Amazing falls as well. And that's 3 kills for SK Gaming.
That could be the inhibitor. Candy Panda managed to keep both Jesus and Forgiven busy the entire time in that fight. They didn't manage to chase Candy Panda down. So it's allowed SK to focus 2 of the tanky members, get Youngbuck and Amazing low and out of the fight. Now SK with a 5-man push and with Baron, they get the inhibitor turret and they're on the inhibitor as well.
Lee Sin and Jinx are 20 seconds away. I think SK are going to go for the win here, or are they going to back out of it? Are they going to go? No, they're going for it here. Pushing in on towards those Nexus turrets. First one's going to go down. Youngbuck's trying to get them out of it. Unlimited pushing through as fast as he can, but the Nexus turrets are going to fall. The focus turns around onto the Nexus. Candy Panda has the intervention on him. The Nexus falls, and SK Gaming take down the Copenhagen Wolves.